Okay, I quickly gotta ask a question. Did any of you Chibits have an issue with watching Gundam today? Because, for some reason, when I woke up early this morning and I tried to watch the episode, it was not on Crunchyroll's site at all, but for some reason, you know, there was no delays. Like, there was no information on delays. I went even to Crunchyroll's Twitter, and it said they released the episode. Like, they said they released episode 33, and so I went to their, you know, Crunchyroll Gundam and all that to watch it, and the episode was last week's episode, episode 33, and I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Like, what? So, there was, like, no information of why the Gundam episode wasn't out this morning on Crunchyroll, and it was until later in the day when I finally checked, it was finally out, so I'm just curious, anyone else have any issues with actually watching Gundam today? Because when I tried to watch it, it just wouldn't pop up on Crunchyroll at all, and so I just really need to ask, because I saw no one talking about it. Did anyone else have issues? Now that I said that, though, let's talk about one of the big things that this episode brought up, and it was quite the surprise. Nade and Mary have a relationship. That was, what? Like, what? Like, what? They both are in a relationship together, and I always figured that Mary would actually be with Orga. I always assumed with the way their dynamic was and how they interacted with each other in Season 1, but also in Season 2, I figured those two characters would be together. But in reality, that did not happen. That did not happen at all. And Nade actually is the one that has Mary. And I'm like, what? So, anyone else just surprised by that revelation of this episode? Because I know for a fact I was. Like, I was straight up surprised when I saw this revelation, this episode. I'm like, those two are freaking together? And we didn't even know about this at all? Like, what the fuck? What the hell? So, yeah, I mean, I'm with Chad. I'm completely shocked as much as he is. I mean, I'm with Chad. Like, what the hell? When did this happen? Anyways, though, the episode is kind of focused around politics, and I think everybody knows by now how I feel about politics when it comes to anime. I enjoy seeing, you know, politics and stuff in anime just to see how characters try to outsmart each other and how to kind of further their own ideals and goals, and that's kind of what we get in this episode. We get different perspectives. We get to see Teiwaz and what they're doing behind the scenes and how their operations are handled with all their big head honchos, and then you have it to where Naze, how he's backed into a corner, and if anything was to go wrong with Tekadon, his life would be exchanged. For instance, he will die. So, Naze actually got a death flag in this episode. And then we have the other stuff going on with, you know, Kudelia and how she admits that everything that's going on right now and how she's currently benefiting off of wars, Tekadon, and stuff like that is very vulgar. And she says she's a very vulgar person to do something like this. And it shows, once again, she's retaining that development she got throughout Season 1, and she's continuing to show that development. And so I really appreciate the character Kudelia. I really like her character. She started off as someone that, you know, just I didn't think would be as good. She was a little bit different from the, you know, the normal female character, but now seeing her in this episode and just seeing how she continues to carry herself for her goals, I really appreciate her character. It's just a nice, good breath of fresh air from a female character in a series, especially a series like this. She's just a very strong-willed female character that I could really just say I enjoy when she's on the screen. And now, one other thing, too, is the stuff going on with Teiwaz. So, let's talk about the political stuff going on. Right now, Teiwaz, they realize what's happening here. It can benefit them. For instance, with Orga gaining control of Mars, pretty much being the king of Mars, this would cause it to where the many organizations, you know, of Teiwaz and all that, they would get more money from Mars. They would kind of cut into the profits and stuff, because as we know, Orga Tekadon, they're all connected to that. And so, with it happening like that, they could profit. But on another hand, you gotta think about it like this. Gallahorn is connected to Mars and Orga now, and with this, Teiwaz would be connected too, so it would overall ruin their image. When they try to do business deals with other organizations and stuff that's not Gallahorn, for instance, they possibly might have their name ruined, or maybe dragged through the mud, or they won't be respected as they once were, because they are with a part of an organization that, you know, is actually like the police. Gallahorn. And so when you look at it like that, I can understand why Tewaz was very upset in a way with Orga and how he was doing something like this without even consulting them in the first place. But at the same time, though, they see the business opportunity from it. They see a potential possibility to earn in more profits and money. And so at the end of the day, they want that money. But at the same time, it is ruining their image. So depending on how Orga plays his cards and whatever happens could determine if Naze dies and something happens to Tekkadan. Because, I mean, right now, if, you know, Tekkadan does anything else that's like this, that doesn't consult their boss, well, obviously, there's going to be some dire consequences. And that's kind of what Naze was saying in this episode. When he talked to Orga, he's like, don't do this ever again and all that. And with him saying that, it's kind of like, I would do it for you again, but the reason why I can't do this again is because if I was, it was to do this for you again, I would die. So, Orga doesn't know that he has put Naze in a position to where Naze could potentially die if things go rather south for Tekkadan. So yeah, Naze, potential possibility for him dying, which, I mean, I could see something like that happening. I mean, judging by his, you know, role in the story and all that, with some of the female characters that are on his ship, I mean, it's a possibility that maybe he could die before the series is done. We'll just see where that, you know, takes us. Now, the next thing to talk about, let's talk about Mika. So Mika, as we know, Hush has been, you know, following him around and stuff, and Mika is someone that is probably not really used to having someone follow them around like a lost puppy. Someone that wants to learn and all that, wants to become better, stronger, and Hush has been going through some very interesting development, and right now, Mika, he's having to deal with this person that's just following him around, admiring him, just, you know, trying to figure out how Mika operates. And Mika even states in this episode, like, it's very annoying. Like, it's really fucking annoying how this man keeps following me around, how this man keeps helping me in every turn I make. It's really annoying. And it's funny because this is actually a learning experience for Mika to kind of tone down. It's not going to always be about, like, going out and fighting, trying to kick someone's ass, break their necks, whatever. It's not always going to be about that. Taking, you know, Barbatos out and just kicking ass, it's not always going to be like that. There's going to be times to where you just need to be able to be someone that could teach someone, and that's kind of what Mika is doing right now. He is becoming a teacher for someone. He is someone that's kind of showing an example for him, for he can, you know, actually become a better person. And that's what Hush is trying to accomplish, and Mika needs to realize this, which will probably eventually lead into some form of character development, because this is like his first time really having someone wanting to learn from him. Now, let's talk about the Chocolate Man. So, the Chocolate Man's motive is kind of revealed in this episode. Actually, it is revealed, and he's remained a mystery overall for a very long time. I mean, he's kind of told us bits and pieces of what he wants to do, but he's never downright said what he actually wants to accomplish, and with this episode, that is revealed. So, the Chocolate Man, he wants to make it to where all statuses of people are equal. For instance, you know how you have middle class, low class, or high class, or whatever citizens? And that's kind of how it is. He wants to remove that entire structure where everybody can be equal. He doesn't like a system to where you have this royalty that controls everything, and everybody down below has nothing. They can't control shit. They're suffering because, you know, it's like the poor are getting poorer, and the rich is getting richer, and that's kind of what's going on, and he just does not like that. He doesn't like the way the world is working right now. He actually grew up with these type of things to where he didn't really have much, and then he grew up and became very powerful, and he wants to change that. And so seeing it like this, him and Kudelia, they share a very common interest. If you really do think about it, Kudelia and him share interest. And now it kind of makes sense why he wants to help out the world. And I know many are going to be making jokes about that, probably saying, oh, this man just wants to do this because he wants to make a world where he could be with his lolly, a safe world for his lolly. And I mean, okay, I can see the joke. So even though it's an arranged marriage, it's rather creepy. It really is. But I mean, that's just how things work. I mean, with royalty. I mean, there's always arranged marriages. It happened all in the past in historical times. It happens. Maybe in some countries it still happens to this day. And so it's not something that, you know, is out of the norm. I mean, arranged marriages and stuff, like sometimes if you have a daughter and a son and all that, and then, you know, you give them out to, you know, different royalty, I mean, they are already determined to marry this person probably before they're even the age of 2. I mean, seriously, that's probably how some families actually handle that. So, I mean, even though it's creepy, and yes, it is weird, I mean, at the end of the day, though, I mean, you kind of see why he might want to change everything. He probably wants to change the entire world for, you know, like, stuff like this wouldn't happen. He wouldn't have an arranged marriage. Everybody's equal. He can marry who he wants to marry. Like, for instance, the Chocolate Man, he could actually go out of his way to marry who he wants to marry instead of someone he's forced to marry, for instance, his little lolly. So when you think about it like that, you kind of understand his goals. He's trying trying to change the world where you could be free, and everybody has equal opportunities to do what they want. So yeah, a very nice political episode of Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. You all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.